Welcome in, everybody. I'm Bobby Burton, joined by Jerry Hamilton. This is a Monday night's edition of Talkin Ball, where we answer your team and recruiting questions, kind of an open forum. So you guys make sure you get your questions in. It's brought to you by our friend, Dr. Brett Robin, the former Longhorn running back, who's now a board-certified orthopedist over at Austin Orthopedic Institute in Austin, Killeen, and Georgetown as well. Make sure you give him a call if you need some orthopedic help. On the knee, the shoulder, what have you. Hey, Jerry, I've got news for you. And you and I have been talking about it this afternoon offline. Emmett Mosley, the wide receiver out of Stanford, has committed to the University of Texas. We talked a little bit about him on Friday when you broke the news that he was on campus. 48 catches, 525 yards, several touchdowns, 6 touchdowns this year, I believe. Jerry, what is your take on this? And then I've actually learned a little bit more I want to add to it in just a minute.
Yeah, look, I think the guy's a really, really solid player. And that's the number one thing with me. And he's a multi-year guy.
Yes.
I'll be honest, and it only happened because I think this Stanford coaching change, somebody popped into the portal that was unexpected, right? I think if we see another guy, wide receiver, it's going to be an older guy. But this is a multi-year guy, a guy who obviously – made his mark in 9 games his freshman season, and a guy that Texas wanted badly. I don't think there's any doubt about it.
Wanted him out of high school too.
Yes, no, and I think people have asked about his speed. Somebody can find it, but I'm pretty sure he ran 10.75, 10.78 as a senior as well. So I think he's a little deceptive with his speed coming out of high school. I think he'll play to more than 11 yards per catch at Texas, but 48 receptions, 525 yards in 9 games with 6 touchdowns. And he had some big games against Louisville, who was a pretty good team. He had some big performances late in the season. I think it's a really solid pickup. And, you know, if you look at that now and you say, okay, Ryan Wingo, DeAndre Moore, Emmett Mosley, well, suddenly now you have a lot of experience, even though those guys have only played 1 year of college football. That's a lot of experience. And, you know, then you have Parker Livingstone coming off a redshirt year, and you have 3 really talented freshman receivers that I think will find their way in the rotation because I do think Sark's going to play more guys. I think he said it, and I think he means it. So I think it was a really good pickup for Texas. Does that mean they're done at wide receiver? I'm not necessarily going there, but I think this is a very solid pickup, especially considering he's going to be a 2-year guy.
Yeah, I want to add a couple pieces here. You mentioned the 2-year guy, and that's one of the things I thought that I wrote about on Sunday. His timeline matches with Arch Manning's timeline, in my opinion. Arch Manning stays 2 years. This guy stays 2 years. It also matches up with Ryan Wingo. And there's a tie between Ryan Wingo and Emmett Mosley V. They both played on, and I learned this today, Jerry, they both played on California Power.
That's
the 707 team. So those two are familiar with one another. Somewhat similar physical features. Ryan's a little bit bigger, but they're both bigger guys. The other thing I would add now, at 6'2", this makes now 3 of the top 4 receivers on the Longhorn roster 6'2" or more, with Ryan Wingo, Parker Livingstone, and now Emmett Mosley V. DeAndre Moore, 6 foot, right? Not exactly a small guy by any stretch, but interesting to say there was some previous awareness between Ryan Wingo and Emmett Mosley there at the very least. All right, before we take y'all's questions and talk a little bit more about Emmett Mosley and what other recruiting questions you might have, some basketball recruiting news broke today as well that we'll talk about. We want to say special thanks to Dr. Brett Robin at Austin Orthopedic Institute for sponsoring On Texas Football. Dr. Robin, a former Longhorn running back, knows what it takes to stay in the game, and he's here for athletes of all ages. Specializing in musculoskeletal health, Dr. Robin treats joint pain and injuries with a conservative approach first, but also offers advanced surgical options, including arthroscopic procedures, fracture management, and total joint replacements. With convenient offices in Austin, Georgetown, and Killeen, Dr. Robin is accepting new patients now. So if you're injured, get out in there and see him. If you're looking for a top-notch orthopedic specialist, give Dr. Robin a call, 512-856-1000, and get back to your active lifestyle and doing what you love. I do have to give this comment about Dr. Robin. Rod Baber still says he's the only former teammate that he would let operate on him. That's like the ultimate positive note there. All right, Jerry, basketball news. What are your thoughts right now as it relates to this big man out of Xavier that Texas landed today, and where Texas sits overall in recruiting?
Yeah, look, I think that where this roster is right now is really impressive. The 4 portal pickups, I think, are all talented players. Dalen Swain, I think, may be a first-round pick one day, whether that's 1 year or 2 years. I think Matas will be on the NBA draft boards after 2 years at Texas, 2 years of college. I like look this. Dalen Swain could be a 2-year guy. Matas should be a 2-year guy. Cam Heide will be who's on his visit right now should be a 2-year guy. So if Dalen Swain now takes a big jump, he'll only be a 1-year guy and off to the NBA. But possibilities of 3 2-year guys. Lucina Traore. This is the biggest roster as far as height, wingspan, whatever you want to call it. I've seen Texas have. Now, is the roster complete? No. There's work to be done, but what Sean Miller and the staff have done in a short amount of time, they now have the size to go compete against Alabama and Florida and all those teams with, I think, versatility. Because what Dalen Swain, what makes him such a good college player, in my estimation, is he can play a 4-out 1-in-4, a small ball 4. He can go play some 3 if you go bigger lineup. You can play him and Heide together. And that's athletic guys. Heide can really shoot it. Swain can really put it on the floor. Tremont Marks, a 6'6" guard on top of it. So the big key, what you're looking at the roster now, as it currently stands, is out of John Clark, Cody, and Vincent. Which of those young guys, a couple of those guys, are going to come on and give Texas some quality minutes in backup roles? And they will. One or two of those guys will. The fun part will be who's it going to be. But what's left for Texas basketballs, they need one more combo guard. It needs to be a guy with enough height, right? They're not going to take 2 6-foot guards. That's not going to happen. It could be a 6'2" guy if he's super athletic and can really shoot it. But I think more in that 6'3", 6'4", 6'5" combo guard range. It has to be a shooter. Can't be a non-shooter. Has to be somewhat of a playmaker, offense initiator. And I think Texas is looking around the world, not just in the portal, around the world. And that's the way basketball recruiting is going to be at Texas as long as Sean Miller is the head coach. And I think there's a couple, 3 guys around the world that are out there, and we'll see what happens. One of those guys, I mean, I'm not saying they're going to pull it off, but there's one guy out there, if they pulled it off, Texas would suddenly be like a top 12 team next year. And I'm not saying they are because I don't know yet, but one of those dudes is really, really, really good.
Interesting. That would be a game changer. It sounds like, based on what we thought. Look, I just think it's good that they got back Tremont Mark, Kendall Weaver, Jordan Pope, Nick Cody, those guys, and now are supplementing. The Dalen Swain seems like that was a key piece of this. The Traore kid that they picked up today is more of a rim protector. Is that
rebounder? And look, he got hurt last year in October, right before Xavier's season. He came over from Long Beach State, where he averaged a double-double back-to-back years. And the thought is Xavier, and there's quotes up there from Sean Miller on Traore saying he's the most improved player in the program. He was going to be, it was irreplaceable, and he went down. The thought around Xavier is if he hadn't got hurt, they'd have been a Sweet 16 team. They thought he was going to be that much of an impact for their team. Now, he had a knee injury. Obviously, Texas wouldn't have taken him if they didn't have, Miller and staff watched his rehab all year. They know exactly where he's at. So, in their estimation, they think he'll be good to go next year. And I haven't heard anything otherwise. And if he can give them, 20, 22 minutes at 6, 7, 8 points a game and 6, 7 rebounds a game, that's big, because he is a strong body guy who plays. He's a force in the paint. And when I say force, he's just not easy to move. He will guard you in the paint. You have to play through his chest to get to the rim. He will rebound outside his area. So a really good player. I like the roster they put together. They got a little work to do. They got 3 scholarship spots left. I think they'll for sure spend 2 of them. And I think one of those guys will be an impact combo guard.
Oh, that's good. Just real briefly, and then we'll start getting to questions that you guys got in the queue. Please add them if you would, if you have any for Jerry or myself as it relates to Texas football recruiting. I just also want to add that right now it's basketball recruiting portal window from the 15th to the 25th.
Yeah.
Or, no, excuse me. Until what day is basketball portal closed? I think the portal's closed, but people can still sign, right?
Right. Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So basketball portal's closed. Football portal begins and opens on the 15th, or actually the 16th at 12:01 a.m., I guess is the best way to put it. So we're waiting for that to occur. The only reason Emmett Mosley, the 5th, could go to Texas this early is because Stanford changed coaches in mid-year.
Yes.
And so that opened them up to the portal immediately. Mosley has signed with the University of Texas. I want to add that into the comment as well. A couple other things. Vic Schaefer picked up his second portal commitment. That's the Texas women's basketball coach, a center out of Florida Atlantic, a Swedish young lady, 6'6", averaged 3.4 points per game and 3.8 rebounds per game. She sounds like she's going to be a depth piece around the rim for the Longhorns. Her name is Lovisa Asbrink Hose.
I saw her last week, and she was on her official visit, or Friday when I was on campus, and she's all a 6'5". I mean, I don't know if she's 6'6". It's hard to tell, but she's all a 6'5". That I can tell you.
Taller than you is what you're saying. There you go. All right, let's get to your questions now. Talk a little recruiting again. Let's start with KD35. Did we ever talk about Nicholas Robertson's dominant performance in Houston over the weekend? I think he opened a lot of teams' eyes, but that were there at Tech. But at Texas, we already may have heard of him before the other schools. Congratulations to Nick, by the way, Jerry. He earned a ticket to the Under Armour All-American game. So congratulations to Nick Robertson, Texas commitment, big offensive lineman out of Klein High. There were a number of players there, Jerry, that got the invites and all this other stuff, but Robertson, one of the very few that got actually picked to go play in that game at Under Armour, right?
I think that kid's just scratching the surface of what he can be, which is a good thing. And look, he'll be on that couple-year development, I think, at Texas. But we've seen Nate Kibble was supposed to be there too, and he exceeded expectations.
Yep.
So now he's looked at as a rotational guy after a redshirt year versus 2 years to really develop. But I think Nick Robertson's best ball's in front of him. I think he's going to get a lot stronger, going to reshape his body a little bit at the college level. But not surprising that he performed really, really well Sunday, because you just got to go back to how he got his offer from Texas. He went to a camp and was serious. He was serious. He wasn't there just for the social media part of it, just to shake the hands, get an invite. He actually went out there and competed. He actually went out. I can say it now. They were going to invite him to. I was part of one of the guys over that camp as far as inviting the camp. They were going to invite him to the camp anyways because he's really talented, but he had to go out there and perform.
Yeah. Got it. KD35. Jerry, so when is Texas going to stay really diving into and targeting which quarterback they want for the 2027 class? It's already ongoing, clearly. But are they going to make some determinations or decisions relatively soon, in your opinion?
That's a tough question. I think, look, Gunnar Rivers is going to be at the top of a lot of lists. And AJ Milwee has been by the school to see him during the season. Texas has an offer out to Peyton Houston right now, Evangel. We'll see where that goes long term. But Gunnar Rivers, if Phillip Rivers sees Texas as a potential fit, then I think Texas will go full speed ahead with Gunnar Rivers. He's out of Mobile at a Fairhope area, a private school there. He's really good. We played his huddle before. And Bobby, there's actually a picture surfacing. I mean, he's a bigger kid than you think too right now. But the question is, what does, and we don't have the answer yet. What does that quarterback room look like to Phillip Rivers at Texas when you have Trey Owens, you have KJ Lacey, and you have Diabella class in front in 26, a 5-star who's committed to Texas. Boy, look, I know everywhere you go, there's going to be competition, but Texas has some depth of young talent at quarterback too. So we'll have to see what the Rivers are looking for Gunnar. But if Texas is seen as a legitimate possibility, I'll be surprised if Texas really doesn't make a big run there.
June July, you think?
That elite camp, May 31st, that weekend, that elite camp, I think will.
That's when they decided to go with Diabell instead of Brady Edmonds last year. Is that accurate? Or
Diabell instead of Troy Huhn. Yep,
that's what it was.
And now, and here's the thing. And here's the thing, because look, Texas has Diabell in 26. What AJ Milwee is about to do in the spring evaluation period, he's just going to go top 27 and 28 quarterbacks. And they will start to make some decisions on 27 quarterbacks, and they'll decide which 28 quarterbacks they want to get to camp. Because they offered some 27s a year ago, Brady Edmonds and those guys, Peyton Houston, who are going into their sophomore year. So I think that's how we'll see this play out.
Okay. Kid Kota has a question here for us related back to the portal. Will Sark go after a speedy veteran wide receiver after landing Mosley? So this is a good question. Last year, we knew they wanted to add at least one speed piece. They ended up adding two because we had no clue Matthew Golden ran a 4.29, but alongside Isaiah Bond. What I would say is this with King Kunta here, or to King Kunta, is that I don't think Sark is thinking necessarily that he has to have the ultimate speed guy as much as he wants another high-quality wide receiver. And I mean second, third round pick at worst type of guy. That's what he's looking for in the portal. He's not looking for a piecemeal here. And I will add this. One of the things that I say that for is this reason. Jerry, I wrote an article this morning about themes of the fall camp so far for the University of Texas. Okay, I think it's a young team. I think it's a talented team. I mentioned both those things. A lot of the talent is younger. Okay, then you add in another aspect of this, and that is that this is now a team full of leaders. Whereas before, Roshan and Bijan were the leaders, and then a couple more guys stepped up, and then last year, even more stepped up. Well, now I think that we're getting to the point where Texas has a team full of them, and that is a very good competitive atmosphere for players to be in. But the fourth thing I mentioned this morning, and what I want to take to people here, is this. This is becoming Arch Manning's offense, from what I'm hearing, okay? That doesn't mean that we won't see timing routes to the outside, quick passes, dump downs to the back that Sark is kind of famous for, okay? We will still see that. We are going to see a different style of offense based on what I'm being told.
Oh, yeah.
And will there be principles that are very similar? Absolutely. But Sark, I think, is going to call this game for the quarterback that he has.
The field is going to be stretched horizontally and vertically, not just horizontally.
And so when I said earlier that they've now got three of their top four receivers that are 6'2 plus, that means more back shoulder throws. Yeah. That means more deep curls. That means a lot of stuff over the middle where you're going down the seam and you need size. And so it's a little bit different than just, hey, I want to hit a home run and need a speedy veteran. So I was trying to go in that direction to answer your question. Leo, men's basketball could use a good combo guard. Women's basketball could use another knockdown shooter. How about a knockdown shooter for women's basketball? What do you think about those two needs for Texas?
Yeah, for sure on the men's side. Look, I don't even worry about Sean Miller's rosters. That he's going to build it, and he knows exactly what he's doing. He's done this before at Arizona in a big time program, and he's going to do it here. And I'm not even the least bit concerned. I actually like that they're being selective right now. It's easy to go get a guy out of the portal, but I think being selective right now is actually really smart for them, because if you're going to recruit the world, you have to be selective. And they know that final combo guard piece that's going to be an impact player on this team, and there could be two, but maybe it's a guy that plays a smaller role. But this next one's big for them because they have some really good pieces. And now it's about finding that perfect fit to kind of close out that first 9-10 man rotation. Then if they had that second guard in the portal development from international, wherever, portal is a developmental guy, I think that adds their depth at guard. But I really like what they're doing. Basketball, yes. I think Jordan Lee will take a big step. I think she's a really good shooter, scorer, can go get a shot. I think they need to add one to that because you don't know where Layla Filia is coming off the 2 surgeries. And if they add one more shooter to that. Now, what's interesting is with Roy Harmon coming back, they're going to play Rory and Bree Preston more together next year. So are they going to go smaller with 2 point guards and really maybe try to change pace that way? So they needed that extra shooter. They need that extra shooter score from the wing, but it may be more of a role player if they're going to play the 2 smaller guards together. And Aaliyah Crump's coming in, obviously. Yes, Leo, and she'll play some. Yep, for sure.
All right. Fair. Hey, Jerry, a lot of questions around Emmett Mosley V and his brother, Trent, who is I believe he's a high school junior, committed already to USC, also a wide receiver. John wants to know, do you think Emmett's brother takes another look now at Texas? I don't think it's a package deal. I want to put that out there. Okay.
No, yeah, what's interesting, so Texas went by to see Trent Mosley in January, I believe, at Rancho Santa Margarita, where Emmett finished up. Emmett started his high school career at Servite, then moved to Rancho Santa Margarita. Sorry, my allergies are crushing me. I was in Carthage today. We'll talk about watching KJ Edwards in Carthage work out in a second. And the pollens crushed me. And look, I don't know, because Texas offered Trent Mosley. They like Trent Mosley, the younger brother of Emmett Mosley. But he pretty much said, I'm going to stay a little closer to home. Could it change? It could always change if USC poops the bed. I mean, so we'll see. But Texas does like Trent too.
Yeah, absolutely. So things like this, let's let the dust settle a little before you really come out with one thing or another. Hey, Justin Yarbrough has a super chat. Thank you, Justin. I really liked and agreed with Sark's comments on the House settlement. What are y'all's thoughts on his comments? And is there a way to navigate NIL and keep the kids student athletes, not employees? Matt, our producer, has some comments here from Sark on that. If you don't mind playing that for us, Matt.
That is important. I love being a college football coach. I love watching these guys come in, develop, grow, have an experience, fail, grow some more, have some success, grow some more, fail again, grow some more. And I'm just trying to be mindful of, I don't think any of us, and our student athletes included, I don't think any of them want to be employees. Right? They don't want to feel like an employee. They want to feel like a student athlete. And I get NIL, and believe me, I want our players to be compensated in a way that's right and that's fair. But I also think, we're in a space right now where we don't have a lot of guardrails. We don't have a lot of regulation. And I think if we don't start doing some of this, if we don't start finding a way to get some guardrails around this, we're going to lose this idea of a student athlete, and we're going to start gravitating closer and closer and closer to an employment status. And I don't think any of us want that. And clearly we're seeing that now, because once we go to employment status, then are we talking about unions? Are we talking about CBAs? Are we talking about firing people? I don't think any of us want that. That's not why I got into this. I got into this to develop young people, young men to become men in society. And part of that is playing football and an opportunity to fulfill their dreams of playing in the NFL. Part of that is earning a degree. Part of that is learning life lessons that they can take with them in life. And so that was part of that visit. And I think it's, at the end of the day, there's so many different voices. There's so many different opinions. How can we start to corral those opinions and come to a common kind of idea and thought process that can we move forward with? Because it feels like sometimes right now we're taking 2 steps forward, 1 step back because of another lawsuit or something here and there. How do we get some parameters, some guardrails, so we can all move forward in a positive direction?
Steve. Good stuff there from the head football coach at the University of Texas, Steve Sarkisian. So let's answer Justin Yarbrough's question in that context. Steve Sarkisian says he doesn't think student athletes want to be employees. He's probably right to some degree, because they don't want to be fired.
That's right.
Okay, here's my problem with that. If you're making $2 million a year, there has to be some give and take.
Yes.
And I don't know that you can get it, Coach Sarkisian or NCAA, without making somebody an employee based on current labor laws.
100% agree.
I agree with what he's saying. And to Justin's point, they are there to grow and become men or women, whatever the sport may be. The problem that arises when you start dealing with this amount of money, it changes the game. I mean, you're no longer talking about, oh, well, pay my $35 calculus book and bring it back.
Right.
You're talking about millions of dollars, and there's going to have to be a give and take, because what happened to Tennessee, and Sark also in that commentary went a little further and talked a little bit about what happened with Nico, because it was bound to happen. He said it's bound to happen. It's going to happen. Just didn't know who it was going to happen to first. And so how do you do that? He's right. I think anybody that would tell you this is it's not an open and shut case. What way should be going forward? But I think long term it's going to be really hard to not have those athletes be employees if you want to have control and guardrails over the game itself.
Yeah.
Because right now there aren't many, and that's because there are no true guardrails. And the House settlement doesn't go far enough. It doesn't prohibit people from leaving those teams.
I said this last night, I think it was, but the Nico stuff got the most attention because he's a quarterback of a playoff team, SEC, and the way it all went down with the dad acting the fool on social media, and Nico should still sue him, in my opinion. But I have as big an issue with what Rob Wright, the point guard at Baylor, did to Baylor.
Yes.
This is the one, it didn't get enough attention, and it should have gotten a lot more attention. He signed his new NIL deal with Baylor. He was already accepting from NIL from there. And a couple of weeks later, BYU offers him $3.5 million a year, which is considerable. It's considerable. And I don't blame the kid at all in that situation, because he's not a surefire NBA player. And that is a lot of jack for a guy that's going to be a sophomore in college. But the issue with all this stuff is right now is, one, I really believe there needs to be 1- and 2-year contract options for these. And the buyout is bigger in year 1 than year 2, just like a coach. It needs to – people say, well, coaches leave all the time. Yeah, there's buyouts involved unless you get fired. There has to be buyouts involved here, because what happened to Baylor, whether you like Scott Drew or Baylor or not, is BS. Because in the portal, if you knew you were losing your point guard when the portal opened, you would have gone to recruit another point guard. Well, that guy signs an NIL deal with you. All the other point guards that you probably would have looked at are all gone now. They're off the board. And then that guy, I don't know the term. I probably can't use the term here, but walks in, says, I'm out. 5 days before the portal closes. And all the good point guards you'd recruit are gone. They're at other schools. So we're getting into some real bad areas with this. And you knew it was going to happen. And Nico got all the attention. The timing of that was awful. His camp, the advice they gave him was terrible for him. And I think you're seeing how many colleges actually want him right now. Who's actually going to go take him?
Looks like North Carolina or Tulane.
I mean, but what happened with the Baylor situation with Rob Wright is my real issue right now in NIL. And I'm not begrudging the kid for doing what he did, but Sark called it guardrails. But we have to get to a point where there's a 1- and 2-year contract options here, and there's buyouts. It has to be that way, because you can't look. What happened to Baylor's that's not right. What happened then with the timing of all of it? It's just not. Kid had signed his deal, then he walked away from his deal and left him holding the bag 5 days before the basketball portal closes. You don't have time to replace an all-league player at that point. Your team took a hit.
All right, Nathan, moving on. Nathan asks, which positions will Texas target in the portal? Troy the Alabama school, had a big productive running back enter. Also, Cal has had a running back enter here in the last 30 minutes since we started and went on air. Jay Knott, one of the top returning running backs in the country, is going into the portal. Cal also had their number one receiver, who is a tight end, announced that he's going into the portal. Nick Andrews, I think he had 56 catches last year, led them in receiving. There is, for those, I'll get to this question, but for those unaware, there is a power struggle going on at University of California, Berkeley right now. Justin Wilcox is the longtime head coach there. Well, Ron Rivera, the former NFL head coach, has been hired as the GM for Cal football. Well, Cal football has had NIL going to it, but I'm being told, and what's being reported out there, is that donors at the University of California, or for the University of California, will not put money towards NIL right now unless Ron Rivera is given complete control of all football decisions. Now, not on-field coaching, but the donors are saying no more money for y'all for NIL until Rivera is given the keys to the kingdom. Apparently, that means that their top running back and top receiver are now headed to the portal. You know, not that Cal wasn't trending toward a feeder school, anyways, as it is when it comes to football. But what positions? Let's talk about that. I don't think running back's going to be in there, but tight end most definitely. Maybe another wide receiver, an interior defensive lineman. Jerry, would be really nice. After that, are they just looking for punch right now? What?
A disruptor, right? An interior disruptor, I think is what they're looking for. I mean, Sark spoke pretty highly today of Cole Brevard and Hero Canoe, right?
Yep.
I mean, I think they're actually going to be. I was call me crazy. I think they'll be better against the run on the interior next season than they were this season. But I think they need the disruptor. I don't think they're going for an over the ball player. I think they're fine there. I think they're going to go for a disruptive 3.
Well, I hope that means that Texas is expecting a lot, not only out of Cole Brevard, but also Alex January, and maybe a couple of the young guys. Whether that's obviously Justice Terry is going to be played more outside, but obviously Josiah Sharman, Myron Charles as well. LL, how did things go with Samari Matthews this weekend? It was a full weekend visit. He was out there again today at practice, from my understanding, Jerry. This is the defensive back out of North Carolina that was, I think, Mark Orfe's first offer as the cornerbacks coach at the University of Texas.
I think the kid he really liked Texas prior to Texas offering, obviously, and I've had some interaction with him, and he really does like Texas, but he'd never been on campus until this weekend. He got in Saturday, I think Saturday, Sunday, stayed through Monday. Look, I think South Carolina and Clemson close to home, or you're battling Florida State, your 4th official visit there. Is it a recruitment Texas can win? I certainly think they'll be right there. Obviously, it comes down to, will he go far from home at the end of the day? But look, I think the kid likes Texas. And when you already like Texas and then you come on campus and it exceeds your expectations, I think you become a real player. He'll be back June 13th through 15th for an official visit. And I think Texas will be right there with South Carolina and Clemson battling.
So you think it's a regional play against Texas, essentially?
Yeah.
South Carolina,
yeah.
Okay. All right.
I know people are saying about all the crystal balls and stuff put in today. I don't, whatever.
Yeah, don't jump the shark. Don't do that. Texas Bonda. I think it's Boyja. I can't see that. My computer's a little messed up here. Do we anticipate any current guys, like I'm going to say current Texas players is what I think you mean here, jumping in the portal? That might change what Texas targets in the portal. Of course it would. I think that Texas probably already has a sense of its players that might jump in the portal. But the reality of it is, given that they already kind of have an idea, and I think they know what they want. And I don't like Texas feels pretty good about its current roster. I'll just put it that way. I don't know that anybody that is a game changer or a numbers breaker goes into the portal, based on what I've been told at this point. Now, everything can change at a moment's notice,
Yes.
but as of right now, that's not the expectation. Just not the expectation. Texas Chica 01, passing game is just fine. Can we score first and goal at the 1? That's the only question that matters. She gets right to the point, Jerry. What do you think? You think you're going to run a toss sweep on second goal from the 1, Steve Sarkisian? Probably not.
I hope not. Not against the 2 best safeties in the country with no pass responsibility. Let's not revisit. I will say this too about last season. And we talked about it when he got injured. The loss of Cedric Baxter hurt you in short yardage and in goal line and in your inside zone game. Oh, and then, by the way, Christian Clark tore his Achilles, 2 days after that. So probably your top 2 inside runners were gone in a matter of 3 or 4 days. And do I think that hurt Texas? Yeah. Do I think Cedric Baxter would have helped Texas there? Absolutely, he would have. Do I think he might have scored on first and goal from the 1? Potentially, yes, in that game, right? He's that type of a player. But I also think the interior of the offensive line may be better movers of people this year too. So I do think they'll be better, because here's why they're going to be better. This is and Sark's going to still run his outside zone. He's going to still do the same things he's done. But here's why they're going to be better in that scenario. Because all season long, they heard how they got their butt kicked in that scenario. That's why they're going to be better. You think those kids aren't sick of hearing it, and the coaches aren't sick of hearing it? Yeah, they're gonna come back with a little more and I think they're gonna have people to more with. I do think they'll be better because they've been told they sucked at it all offseason.
All right. Before we go to the next question, I want to say thanks again to our sponsor each and every Monday night, brought to you by our friend Dr. Brett Robin at the Austin Orthopedic Institute. He sponsors On Texas Football. Dr. Robin, a former Longhorn running back, knows what it takes to stay in the game, and he's here for athletes of all ages, specializing in musculoskeletal health. Dr. Robin treats joint pain and injuries with a conservative approach first, but also offers advanced surgical options, including arthroscopic procedures, fracture management, and total joint replacements. With convenient offices in Austin, Georgetown, and Killeen, Dr. Robin is accepting new patients now. If you're looking for a top-notch orthopedic, give Dr. Robin a call. 512-856-1000. That's 512-856-1000. Get in shape and back on your feet again with Dr. Brett Robin of the Austin Orthopedic Institute. I'm going to need a knee replacement, I believe, Jerry, one of these days. It's been locking up on me. I may have to go see Dr. Robin. Hey, this one from Marco Mendez. Obviously, their play on the field is what ultimately matters. But what, if any, word on how much stronger the O-linemen are now? I know it's new personnel inside, but I hope the players are stronger in those goal line plays. That's kind of what we were just talking about. Personnel matters. And I think it's funny because we're talking about Texas being stronger potentially at the point of attack at center. And Jake Majors may be a 7, 8, 9-year pro at center. But he's more of a positioner, quick guy than he is a strong bulldozer type.
Right.
Which is more of what Cole Hudson is. The same can be said for Hayden Connor. He's more of a positioning guard, pass blocking guard.
Yes.
Than he is a mover. He also can have a nice long career in the NFL and make a lot of cheddar. NATO is a little bit different, more of a people mover.
Yeah.
And so they're already stronger in some ways, Marco. It's not, it's because they're just different people, right? Just because you're older doesn't make you stronger. And I think that's the case in that regard. Ben asks, what position, Jerry, will be heavily recruited in 2026? Offensive line 5.
Offensive line's a full class. I think edge D-line, they'll be full boat again, whether that's 5 or 6. I think linebacker is going to be 3. I think wide receiver will likely be 3. And I think defensive backs will be 3 or 4. So offensive line, it's your up fronts are going to have full boats, I think, in this class. By the way, so it's a good time to say I went and saw KJ Edwards. I was at Carthage's athletic period today. I went and watched them work out. KJ Edwards looked really good. We'll have a 9-10 minute interview with him here on OTF tomorrow, I believe, once we get that edited that I shot with him there in Coach Surratt's office. By the way, it's just, before I get to him, really unbelievable to walk into a place that's won 10 state titles in less than 20 years. I mean, they have so many like pictures and things. They don't even have a wall space of championships. They're like looking for more wall space for all their championships and trophies right now. It's kind of wild. KJ Edwards, I think, is about 192 pounds now. He's gotten bigger. I think 189, 190s kind of, he said like he's 192 to 194 on the junior day eating circuit, right? So we'll probably more about 188, 189 is where he would be if he wasn't on the junior day eating circuit. But looked really good. He's an all-purpose back, meaning, and I think he's a 3-down back because Scott Surratt teaches those guys to pass pro. They're advanced there. They're asked to do it. They're not just asked to carry the football and go to the sidelines on 3rd downs. They split him out. He's part of the passing game. He's going to be advanced there. I think Texas leads where it goes. We'll see. His official visits, I think he's got SMU. He's got Texas. He's got Texas A&M, and he's got Baylor. Colorado's also trying to push for an OV right now. But he is a jet. He could do a lot of the things in the passing game that Jaden Blue did, but I think he's a better runner.
With the football.
Yeah,
maybe not quite that explosive, right? As he's got, you think he's got that kind of jet?
I don't know if he'll run 4.29, but his 0 to 60 is pretty quick.
Gotcha.
By the way, they had a kid today. I mean, Carthage's got a lot of guys. They have if you go out to watch Carthage, remember this. There's a kid named Bryston, Bryston Price. He's a 2027 receiver. That guy has some real juice now. Like, if you go watch Carthage next year, I don't even know what number he'll wear because they're wearing their kind of off. But just so he wore 18 last year. But watch him. You'll know who he is pretty quick if you get out there. That guy gets off the line in a blur. And he's about 6'170" or 65. He's going to be a junior next year. He's an easy lay-down power 4 guy. I mean, he's really talented. You
can tell you're at a high school football practice or even a junior varsity when they don't have numbers on the jerseys.
Well, they had their mesh jersey. They had their mesh. He was wearing like 6, I think it was today. But then I looked, I was like, well, you were 18 last year, so I don't even know what number he's going to wear, right? But all I know is that dude can freaking run.
I love it. All right.
Carthage has a few.
Hey, we've got time for a couple more questions here. It's my understanding that they actually enter the portal now, like you file your paperwork, but it actually doesn't become reality until Wednesday, until tomorrow. Are we right about that? Or
I think it's tomorrow night at 11:59, but let me check on the exact time.
Okay, let's make sure we're right about that because I think they can officially enter it whenever they want to, but they can't actually go take visits.
It opens April 16th, so 11:59 p.m. tomorrow night.
Yeah, but they can start announcing they're going in, and they're actually putting their name in. They're just not available until the 16th. Yeah, I knew there's something weird like that. Craig Johnson, will Coach Sark allow someone else to call offensive plays during the game? Yeah, no. I think Jerry's got it right. I think they've ended up in, I'll say this, they've been in the national semifinal 2 years in a row. Are you really going to change that? Why would you want to change it?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a fair. Hey, Josie, Jerry, talk to me about D-line recruiting. This will finish us up for tonight. Talk to me about D-line recruiting. Do I need to step on the ledge or back off the ledge?
Back off the ledge. Look, Texas has a lot of guys coming in for visits. I think they did very well with Damari Simeon, who I'm very high on out of St. Augustine High in Richland, New Jersey. I think he'll set up a June OV. April 26th, James Johnson. I think Texas may get an official visit out of James Johnson. He's currently at North Fort Myers. He's going to transfer to Miami Northwestern. He is one of the very best in the country. 6'2.5", about 280. He threw the shot put 59 already this spring. 59, 57.9. I think his first meet. April 26th, they got some dudes coming in now. Kendall Gerville from Fort Myers, who's one of the best dudes in the country, is coming in. I'm going to my trusty list here. Vodney Cleveland from Birmingham Parker is scheduled to come in on the 26th. Tico Crittenden, who already has a June OV from Lithonia, scheduled to come in on the 26th. Emmanuel Ruffin from Bessemer City, Alabama, likely to come in on the 26th. See if Texas get an OV out of him. He's already got Florida, Alabama, Tennessee, and one other. He's got a great visit list. And then Preston Carey out of IMG, who's over the ball player. He's coming in as well. Texas, I think Texas is doing pretty well. Bryce Perry Wright is a 5-tech. I'm not saying they're going to get him over Clemson, Texas A&M, Auburn, Tennessee. I think those are 5, but I think they're doing pretty well with him too. So I would say step off the ledge. I think Texas will get 3 really good players. The question is, can you get 4? And we'll see. I mean, there's a lot of Southeast recruitments there that are absolute bloodbaths.
Anything of late, those are all guys from the Southeast.
Yeah.
Anything of late on Jamion Winfield? Any movement there? He committed to Southern Cal.
Yeah.
Obviously a big NIL deal there.
Oh, yeah.
But has Texas made any movement there?
They're in contact. I think you just have to stay the course there and hang around the rim and get into the season. And he's scheduled to be in June. We'll see. But just hang around the rim and let the season play out, get him on campus during the season. And I think the guy's a tremendous player. I think he could be a 5-star level prospect for me very easily after seeing him in person. He is a stud.
Gotcha. All right, that's going to do it for tonight's Talkin' Ball episode, brought to you by our friend Dr. Brett Robin. If you're looking for an orthopedic specialist in Austin, Georgetown, or Killeen, make sure you give Dr. Robin a call, 512-856-1000. That's 512-856-1000. Former Longhorn running back knows how to take care of those bumps and bruises. All right, for Jerry Hamilton, as well as our producer, Matt Hutchison, I'm Bobby Burton. You guys have a good night. Hook 'em. We'll talk to you again tomorrow morning. Coffee and football at 8.